Hey, what's going on everybody? So in my Moto Signature camera review video, I complained about the fact that despite packing some serious hardware like the Sony LYT-828 1 over 1.28 inch main sensor, I was not satisfied with the JPEG image processing. I compared it against the OnePlus 15, which only packs a mid-range Sony LYT-700 1 over 1.56 inch main sensor, and despite a major hardware disadvantage, the OnePlus 15 absolutely dominates the Moto Signature with significantly better detail rendition without any kind of over-sharpening. Texture quality and edges are rendered in a much more natural and cleaner way. This is all thanks to the auto high resolution 26 megapixel mode which applies upscaling. It's the same feature available on newer iPhones. Motorola doesn't offer such a feature. So I've been working on creating an optimized Gcam configuration with the sole objective to extract the best quality output from the main sensor on the Moto Signature. But first, check out how you can install this Gcam mod. Next, I wanted to show you some sections that you may want to change based on your preferences. So firstly, you have two types of HDR modes, HDR Plus Enhanced or HDR Net. You have to disable HDR Net to be able to use HDR Plus Enhanced. Now there are pros and cons to both. HDR Net is much faster, suitable for moving subjects, while HDR Plus Enhanced is for the best possible image quality and dynamic range, but it is also much slower. But honestly, most of the time you will be satisfied with HDRNet. Next, if you want to change the level of upscaling, you can come to this section and choose the level of upscaling, and trust me, Gcam upscaling works like magic. You preserve so much natural detail, but do note, the higher the upscaling, the bigger will be the file size. From this menu, you can also enable auto night sight. Next, if you want to change the saturation of images, you can make changes in this section. If you want to play around with sharpness, you can come to the sharpness section, or you can also make changes in the sharpness gain section. Note that making changes in the sharpness gain section will override sharpness changes in other sections. Next, if you want to play around with HDR processing, you can play around with these options in the light and shadows option. Finally, for night sight changes, you can come down to the night sight section and make your changes. Now there are still plenty of other things that you can mess around with to fine tune the image processing, and I welcome you to do that. Okay, finally let's take a look at the images. Firstly, quick look at the colors. So the colors are almost accurate. I have kept a touch of extra saturation. It was a very gloomy day and the colors are almost on point with Gcam. Next, let's take a quick look at the detail rendition. So for the first image, take a look at the textures on close crop. Check out how the texture is much more natural and the edges are so much more thin compared to the muddy, thicker appearance on the stock camera app. The lines on the window panes, the lines on the grill behind the window panes are so much more clear and defined with Gcam shot. Same with the tree branches, just so much more definition with Gcam. In the second example, pixel peeping, you can clearly see how much more detail you are able to maintain. You can actually make out the text on this extreme crop, which is quite insane. Same for the window grill and the tree leaves. Another part of the image, look how much more legible the speed limit sign is on the Gcam shot, and all the grass and shrubs around it, just much more defined. In the third example, you can actually see the netting around the little plant. At least you can make out that this is an actual net. Take a good look at other examples. Pause the video if you have to. For the telephoto lens, the difference between Gcam and stock camera app is little less compared to the main lens, but that could also be because I put little less effort into the Gcam. But even then, the Gcam shots still pack more detail. Texture rendering is more fine, the edges are thinner. Like, you can actually make out the small text underneath the number plate that says Rider's Corner. You can almost make out the Royal Enfield branding as well, which is just a mushy mess on the stock camera app. As for the ultra wide, I must be honest, I didn't have much time or interest to make it substantially better. I managed to get back a decent amount of details by fiddling with the noise models, but the noise reduction is not as natural as the main and tele, so I guess you guys can work on it. Thank you very much. When it comes to nighttime, my Gcam config may not be able to capture images as bright as the stock camera app, although that is also possible if you tweak it. The Gcam shots have more noise, but this noise is not distracting. It is very fine looking noise, and on close crop you can see the texture is far more natural on Gcam. There is noise, but it looks much better than the heavily denoised and muddy look of the stock camera app. And honestly, most phone brands produce this kind of look in low light with heavily denoised and muddy texture. There is noise on the Gcam, like I said, but because the noise is so fine, it is not distracting and you end up capturing more details. I must say I won't mind sticking to the stock camera app in low light simply because the processing is much faster. It's just more convenient. But again, it is up to you. If you are a stickler for details and want the best possible rendering of textures and you don't mind waiting a couple of seconds, then yeah, go ahead with Gcam. Now, low light using the telephoto camera. I must say, even though you can get some incredibly detailed shot with Gcam, like you can actually read the snicker text here, you have to have incredibly steady hands to get the sharpest shots, mainly when there is little light. I haven't managed to optimize the minimum shutter speed aspect for low light shooting, so you may end up with shaky shots with my Gcam config at this stage. Finally, when it comes to the cons, currently this Gcam config does not work with selfies. You don't have any AI based subject detection masking effect when you shoot people against bright background. I honestly feel even Moto's stock solution is quite weird in these situations. It is genuinely a very tough shot anyways. I have found OnePlus to handle this situation the best actually. Okay guys, that's it for this video. Try out this Gcam config and let me know how you feel. Next, I will also test third-party camera apps for the best video recording with the Moto Signature, so stay tuned for that. Alright guys, please make sure to hit like and subscribe and also hype this video. Take care and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.